Chapter 1. Defining Dialogue. Always get to the dialogue as soon as possible. Nothing puts the reader off more than a big slab of prose at the start. P.G. Wodehouse. First, let's talk about what dialogue is and isn't. Then we'll talk about what it can do for you. Dialogue is your friend. Dialogue will improve the pacing and readability of your book. Dialogue will make an otherwise ordinary story sparkle. But it has to be handled correctly. Fortunately, as a red sneaker writer, you aren't content to simply put words down on paper. You want to do it right. What is dialogue? In my book on creating character, I encouraged readers to think of their characters not as real people, but as metaphors. Similarly, I'm going to urge you to get away from the often taught but completely inaccurate idea that dialogue should mirror real-life conversation. Dean Koontz, who is in a position to know, wrote, "Many writers think, erroneously, that fiction should be a mirror of reality. Actually, it should act as a sifter to refine reality until only the essence is before the reader. This is nowhere more evident than in fictional dialogue." Koontz is so right. Fiction readers are not looking for more reality. If they were, they'd read a newspaper, not a novel. Chances are they'd like to get away from reality, so they turn to fiction. Because fiction is so much better. When Edgar Allan Poe formulated the essential elements of the short story, he mentioned verisimilitude. He did not say a word about reality. Few readers would accuse Poe's work of having excessive reality, but the stories must seem credible, that is, realistic within the world they inhabit. This is necessary to trigger the reader's suspension of disbelief. You make the situation seem plausible enough that the reader is willing to enter your world. And once you have them there, you can have some fun. You can make them laugh or cry. You can provide a feeling of enlightenment or redemption or epiphany, too often missing from real life. So when you create dialogue, remember first and foremost that you are not trying to recreate real life. You want your dialogue to have verisimilitude. That does not mean you should try to duplicate the way people actually talk. You are an artist, not a tape recorder. If you've ever recorded and transcribed actual dialogue, you know how awkward, poorly phrased, and banal it can be. You don't want that in your book. For the most part, I eliminate conversational or performative stutters. Well, and the like. Do people utter these non-words? Of course. Do I want to read it? No. At least not without a good reason. I have on occasion used well at the start of a sentence to show hesitation, Ben Kincaid, or to strike a casual tone, or to set up a joke. For the most part, though, what is common in life is tedious on the page. Similarly, I would avoid the grammatical intrusions you often hear, like, unless you're writing a Valley Girl character, really, kinda, sorta, I mean, and their ilk. This is not the stuff of scintillating dialogue. Contractions are fine. In fact, if you're writing modern-day characters and they don't use contractions, they're likely to come off sounding stiff and robotic. Fragments can work in dialogue if they reflect the personality of the character, as can run-on sentences. Anne of Green Gables comes to mind. But don't overdo it. The stories readers love most typically feature clever dialogue, snappy patter, and memorable turns of phrases. These don't turn up so much in real life because people don't have time to come up with them. But you do.